Right. Yes, guys, how are we doing? Hopefully everyone's well. Bit of a new series. I mean, it's going to be the same sort of vibe.
You're going to change the name?
It's a prep series now, technically. Yeah. Any comments, any suggestions? Sam, if you've got any suggestions for like a prep series name, let me know. Maybe put a title, but Reece, Finn, if you want to do a little Reece fit, Finn Kelly coach, that'd be fantastic. But no, we're back in. I haven't actually done a YouTube video in quite a long while. However, I'm currently 6 and a bit weeks into prep. I'll do like a prep update that will be a bit of a reel, and it'll also probably make the video. Again, whatever Sam decides. But we've got a new videographer behind the lens. Shout out to Sam. We're going to be going through a lower session. This is the usual session that we've been doing. And I thought we'd get Finn involved just because it's an intro to a new series. But there's not really a lot for Finn to say. So how you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, mate, yeah.
Ready to get into the session?
I'm ready, yeah.
That's the intro. So yeah, another series, another prep. Let's get it. Already had a bit of a brief intro, but if I'm honest, it's probably one of the worst intros I've ever done. So maybe like intro 2.0. Info lower at the hashtag Mecca. And we're pretty much going to be just running through our usual lower session. We've been starting off with calves for the last for pretty much as long as I can remember at the start of a session. I always find like mentally, it will take me a bit of time to get myself into the session. So we always start off a bit of steps. My step goal is not too high, but it just means I can get a few steps done. And at this point of prep, oh God, steps, such a chore. But no, do a few steps and then we start with calves and then we move into our isolations. For here, for calves, this is my only direct bit of calf work per week. Very men's physique that. But 3 total working sets. I usually will manipulate the rep ranges based off internal feel. So the first set is like a moderate to maybe high rep, depending on what you class as high rep. And then I go for a bit of a heavier, buddy set, which is basically how much load can I just whack on and get some stimulus out of. And the third set is sometimes, again, a little bit of a buddy set if it feels all right. But for this, we'll just do 3 sets, get a bit of blood into the calves, and then we'll move on to the actual exercises that I'd say would require actually a little bit of care, in the sense of it's a calf race. It's a calf race. We don't need to video too much. So stand like 1 set maximum and then we'll move on. Three sets there, calves absolutely rinsed. Pretty much you'll most likely, depends again how Sam edits this, because we're still learning about each other at this point, but you'll most likely notice that I place a slight pause at either end of the rep. This is more so overall to aid standardization, just keep things consistent. But then also when it comes to calf musculature, I always think it's a bit of bro science, but if you are walking around on your calves all day, you're going through a miniature range of motion when it comes to a contraction. And I always think if you kind of over accentuate that length and range, and especially that kind of peak contraction, especially on isolations, I mean, you can get into that shorter range and get the most out of it. So for calves, slight pause either end of the rep. I manipulate tempo as I go throughout the sets, more so on isolations, but especially with calves, where I start off on that first set with a greater total amount and pretty much on that contraction point, just because the calves are going to be fresh. And I actually do the same with the hamstring and then likewise quad musculature through the ham curl and the leg extension, which we'll get into in a short while, where I only do 2 sets there, but I pretty much will manipulate again the tempos, which I'll explain as I go through. I'll probably have this video as a bit more of an explanation sort of video, based off the fact that I haven't gone through this session in quite a long while, and there might be a few new people because it will say prep series, and if it's a new series and it's a prep series, people think, oh, who's this guy? I'm not sure, we'll see. So yeah, that's calf done, 3 sets. We are now moving on to the ham curl. Sam, I'm hoping you got that. Every time when I'm dieting, this gets lower and lower. Peak off season, I'm like 3 pins, 4 pins up, and I'm now 1 pin away from the bottom. And if I'm honest, I reckon I could probably get it on the bottom pin. That's a leg erosion block. That's what I'm running. I'm trying to erode my legs. That's depressive. I could get the bottom. That's not good. Yes, good, good. on, all the way down, pull it short. 3, 2, 1. Sound. Lovely. Come on, all the way in. Nice. Solid. Good. Some yeah buddy partials being demonstrated right there. They weren't yeah buddy? Good partials. No yeah buddy partials, good partials. No buddy partials.
They were good partials.
See, I'm in a prep, I wouldn't be able to recover from partials at this point, but Finn can definitely recover from it, trust me. I'm a liar, I'm a big liar. Basically, we trained with Zach Daniels from Zach Daniels Coaching. Is Zach Daniels coaching now? Yeah, Zach Daniels coaching. So we trained with Zach Daniels a few weeks ago. And we did the squat pattern, AKA leg press. We did a squat press. So squat pattern leg press. We did the main compound actually earlier in the session and with the leg extension later on. And we got on really well with it, like internal feel, loading, and also like from a psychological standpoint, we felt a fair bit fresher heading into the leg press. So we've actually switched around the order slightly. I said at the start of the video that we were doing the isolations first, and that's because we were, but I forgot that we've swapped it around recently. So 2 sets of the hamstring curl. You'll notice again, a little bit of tempo manipulation. First set, hold and contraction, hamstrings are fresh, therefore getting the most out of it. And then we pretty much head into a second set on there where it's a little bit more continuous. It was the stack for, I think, 15 and 1. So 15 reps of my own, 1 rep where Finn just helped me get it short because at that point my hamstrings were fried or rinsed. Everything's been rinsed so far. And now we're heading into the Cybex squat press. So this is the leg press of choice. There's a lot of options here. Like literally, I think you could probably close your eyes, pick a leg press, and you can't really go too wrong. But we've been running this. We had a run on this in the summer, and already me and Finn have surpassed previous numbers, and we've only had this in for, I think, 3 or 4 rotations. So in a good groove currently on this leg press. 2 sets again today, just literally 2 sets to bury ourselves. And this session totals out at about 7 big sets. So volume's pretty low relative to, let's say, my needs, but at the same time, there's 7 very big sets. So far, a few sets down onto leg press, and pretty much in 2 more sets, I'll probably be pretty battered. So yeah, leg press time. Turn up. Oh,
Come on, 1 to 2, 1 to 2. I'm there. Let's go. Come on now. Let's go. You're ready. You're ready.
Oh. So it's been probably about 10 minutes since my first set, and I'm nowhere close to going in for a second set. Like, this is an exercise, a leg press is hard, any leg press is, but this squat press properly takes out of me. I'm gonna blame prep, but it's been, like I said, 10 minutes, and I need another 5 minutes at least. We're gonna implement a pause on the second set. based on the fact that Finn said it felt quite good. And I always find like the quality of set, especially when you take a first set like that all the way there, intensity wise, it's just the second set's never as good. So placing a slight pause on the lengthened, it's relatively easy in the lengthened, just with how the profile of this machine is. And yeah, another chance to bury myself. I didn't actually mention, I've got a deload after tomorrow's session. So it's basically, this session is just bury myself and see if I can recover. So yeah, second set, gonna be fun.
1, 2, 2, 2, nice. 3, 2, good. 4, 2, nice. 5, 2, good. Come on, easy. 6, 2, yeah, good. 7, 2, good. 8, 2, come on, let's go. 9, 2, 4, 4, 4. Come on, I'm there. 10, 2, good.
Oh.
Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, breathe. Come on, I'm there. 11, 2. Come on, come on. Come on. Let's go, let's go. Come on, I'm there. 12, 2.
Shit. Get in. That's a viral TikTok. Almost broke my leg. Made it. That actually goes to show, when people say I don't want to fail on a leg press, like, yeah, you get scared of it. Like, that, I've had that happen in sets on my own 10, 20, 30 times. So many times, like, it's ridiculous. And you just get out, you just crawl out the bottom, go for it, fail. Ah. Right, so disclaimer before I get some hate comments. I'm probably the worst mechanically put together bloke ever when it comes to squat variants. There's the reason why I don't do them. So imagine a single leg kind of squat variant. I'm not very good at these. I get a good connection, especially with my vastus lateralis, which to be fair is probably the worst part of my physique. So I'm hoping it actually helps that, but in reality, I look a little bit awkward doing these. So just one straight set. We've just finished off with 2 sets of leg press. First set, like just a regular continuous sort of approach. I got 9 reps on 13.5 plates, which is a low PR. So 10 kilos up per side from my previous rotation 2 weeks back, which again, with 4 kilos and a bit down body weight, I'll happily take, but more so it's progression. So I was happy with that. And the second set, like I said, implemented a pause and a lengthen. So split squat, 1 set. I initially had 2 sets. I then dropped it down to 1 set and a drop set. But my quads feel pretty good, so I reckon I'll keep the drop set just to a body weight. So it's pretty much like 40 kilos down to body weight, and then more so a bit of metabolic focus, just getting a bit of blood flow into the quad. But like I said, disclaimer, I look a little bit awkward. So I might not. Sam, try and get a good angle, but make it so I don't look that bad and don't look that awkward.
Come on, let's go.
And again.
Why did you get 20 then?
Prepping.
Yeah.
Yeah, prepping, not enough glycogen. Right, so 1 set there. We're gonna do 2 if I can get out the machine. The good thing with the prime bits of kit is you can manipulate the loading profile. So as Sam will probably demonstrate, we've got the load on the top and the middle. This is creating a bit more of a challenge in the length and range. And we've already rinsed. I've said rinsed again. I take the mick out of saying rinse, but I've mentioned it like 5 times, so I do apologise. But yeah, we've already rinsed the quads to somewhat of an extent with the split squat and then likewise the leg press. So placing a bit more challenge on that length and range makes sense. the first 5 or 6 reps of that set were relatively easy to get short, and then as fatigue naturally picks up in the set, and then likewise as, in a sense, let's say the challenge becomes greater as I'm getting deeper into the set, that ability to get the quad short becomes even more noticeably challenging. So changing the loading profile just results in us getting a little bit more out of the quad where it's placed in the session. I wouldn't set it up like this if we were to have it on earlier in the session. Definitely the mid and potentially bottom pin. 3. Awesome. Right, so I think this might be a bit of a reel. However, tempo manipulation. Now, I'm a big fan of just straight sets. I think a lot of people can just get out and get a lot out of just literally a top set and a back off set. However, when it comes to the finer details, I find, especially as you get into more kind of, let's say, intermediate to advanced levels, having a look at tempo manipulation, even at beginner levels, but I think it's something that you can overthink. However, you'll notice as, let's say, throughout this session, that we pretty much will have tempo manipulation based off what exercise we're doing and where it's placed in the session. So predominantly, earlier on in the session, we'll place more holds on contraction, we'll emphasize that shorten range, and as the session goes, let's say, deeper into, or as we get deeper into the session, we'll start to manipulate the tempo to place more of a bias in the length and range. And this is just due to how resistance profiles and how fatigue builds up. So the hamstring curl, first set, hold on contraction, second set, a bit more continuous. The leg press, first set, continuous, second set, more of a pause in the lengthened. And we actually place a slight micro pause on the split squat, and then also the leg extension with loading, let's say, bias towards the length and range. So something that I've adapted into my training for the last couple of years is placing exercises and making manipulations to those exercises so I can get the most out of every single exercise and every single set and technically every single rep. So yeah, something you might want to incorporate into your training. Right, so 6 sets of abs. Really, really good fun. My abs aren't the best. They're really not very good. I prioritise them a fair bit. I feel like abs are one of those sort of things that you could always do more of, but that's just so boring. However, I've been doing abs in my off season after every single session or at the start of every session, minimum 3 sets. Now, just because like leaner recovery capabilities, I'm not gonna say abs are so demanding, but I was actually cramping up if I was doing them day to day today. It's either I'm doing them too much or I'm just taking too much clen, probably the latter. However, in all seriousness, when it comes to what I'm doing 6 sets here, so I'm doing 3 sets of the Atlantis ab crunch, and then 3 sets of the Atlantis ab coaster. I think that's what these machines are called. And I do them currently 3 times per week at about 6 sets per session. So, what, 18 sets weekly? And they probably still won't be amazing, but they'll be better than when I was last on stage. So, it's all about progression. It's all about getting better. So, 6 sets, I'm already 1 set down, so 5 more to go. Right, so video done. First one back. Pretty much, I'll go into a little bit more detail. If you check out my Instagram, it might be before, it probably is going to be before. I'll do a reel about where I'm at in prep. I haven't really spoke too much about it. I wanted this session just to be the first session of prep, however, I'm 6 weeks deep. So I've got a deload lined up literally after tomorrow's session. I feel really good. 6.5 weeks in, as I said at the start of the video. And I'm a fair bit of weight down. Like I started at 118 kilos and I'm 105 kilos. So like 13 kilos down is pretty aggressive for 6.5 weeks. But genuinely feel really good. 9 and a bit weeks to the first show, but I'm gonna jump into an earlier show, like in a different federation, PCA. Most likely upon, I think there's one like the first week of May. So that'll be when we're looking to step on stage, and then we've got the pro qualifier at the back end of May. So it'll be like entering the qualifiers pretty damn close and then either reversing up depending on how I look or potentially just kind of maintaining that look. So this was technically the first YouTube video session, lower. So it's not very men's physique, but it still is going to be men's physique for this year. I wouldn't be able to make my weight cap for classic in the amateur rank. So ideally pro card and men's physique, then it will be a case of potentially looking to push into classic if I can bring my legs up relative to what my upper has. So yeah, good session, feel real good, in a really good spot. And I think we're doing we've got another video lined up in like 2 and a bit weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Sam's nodding, so it's going to pretty much be 2 videos a month from now on. And I know Sam's also booked for 1 or maybe a few of my shows, which is going to be exciting. So content level up, podcast leveling up. Check out the podcast YouTube channel. Once you're in, me and Finn are doing it in a studio. So if you like these videos, we're not training in the on the podcast, but it's almost me and Finn just having a bit of a chat. And if you haven't watched them, please do. You might enjoy if you like what you see here. And yeah, that'll be that. Thanks as always for watching. Thanks for the story tags. Thanks to Sam for making his way down on the train. And he's also training after this. So he's been in the gym for a few hours and then he's training. I mean, an absolute warrior. So yeah, all good. Subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Sorry.
That sound.